The name is Mr. T. First name is Mr. Middle name is that period. Last name is T.
Pity the fool who don't think this figure is absolutely awesome. Welcome, good brothers, good sisters. It's another Masters of the WWE Universe review, and this one caught me completely off guard. I was at my local Walmart, and my area of Canada is not getting a lot of these Masters of the Universe figures, WWE Masters of the Universe figures. Never saw a single Macho Man, or there he is with the other vintage figures, Ultimate Warrior figure. Never saw them on shelves. So big thanks to Gojitron for sending along the Warrior, and Scuba Pete, thank you so much for, the Macho Man at arms, yeah. Gonna be taking a look at Randy in a little bit, but Wave 4 showed up at my local Walmart. And for anyone saying, how come Canada gets everything? They haven't seen Wave 3 yet. We haven't seen, or I haven't seen Wave 3 yet either. I didn't see most of Wave 1 or 2, but these showed up. Absolutely incredible. Mr. T, get to that in a second. Jake the Snake Roberts as a Snake Man. Just as perfect as Sergeant Slaughter as a G.I. Joe. Excited to take a look at that one in a little bit too, but when I saw this one, I didn't know this was coming out. I hadn't seen any of the online Toy Fair reveals that this was happening. I knew there was a Mr. T Mattel wrestling figure. I thought that was kind of cool, but I figured I'd pass on that. I'm pretty picky about which wrestling figures I get, modern wrestling figures. I'm really more into the vintage wrestling figures, so modern T wrestling figure, kind of cool, but when I saw this, I just, man, absolutely awesome. Perfect idea. Never thought of T as a He-Man character. I mentioned in the Warrior video, this guy looks like he's from Eternia. Mr. T could TCB, and I doubt he's got the TCB tattoo on his arm, but he could TCB on any planet. For anyone who didn't get to experience Mr. T back in the day, pretty much like The Rock is these days, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He had the power, he had the wisdom, just a larger-than-life character that transcended TV and movies. He had a cartoon. A lot of people don't remember that one. He was on the A-Team. I mean, this guy obliterated Rocky in Rocky 3. It was a squash match, so that tells you a little bit about the power of Mr. T. And I just love that we have this figure kind of by way of a loophole. This isn't a Mr. T He-Man figure. This is a wrestling Mr. T He-Man figure. So that's why this has happened. Even though I would love to see Mr. T and other toy line crossovers, this is strictly through the WWE deal. So even though Mr. T, when he was wrestling at WrestleMania 1 and boxing at WrestleMania 2, he didn't really change his gimmick. He was just T, but thanks to that WWE deal, we have this. And on the back of the box, we have a little peek at some of his accessories, which, much like the Warrior figure, I won't need, but there's a chop action, like Jitsu. There's a fist, like Fisto. Almost looks like they're using the actual parts from Jitsu and Fisto when they get released. And a fantastic picture of Mr. T hammering his weapons here. I'm not surprised they didn't want to depict T attacking anyone, hurting anyone. You see here, yeah, we'll get to that Jake one in a second, but naturally biting the Macho Man. But Mr. T, even though he was a real butt kicker, they were also very careful with his image. You know, they didn't want T shooting people in the head and going really violent. They wanted him to be a really tough, gruff hero for kids. So I like that on the back. He's not smashing some fool's skull. He's actually just forging his fist. Simply says Mr. T on the front. First name Mr. Last name T. Middle name is that period. And he's in the red trunks, I guess, that he wore at WrestleMania 1. Includes a comic. Looks like he's rocking King Randor's armor right here. So I guess we'll be seeing a King Randor figure in the Origins line. I'm sure we'll see every existing He-Man figure in the Origins line. Patiently awaiting Rio Blast. More on him to come on the channel as well. But let's pop open this amazing figure, this wonderful tribute to a wonderful human being, Mr. T. And here's Mr. T opened out of the package. The comic has him facing off against some fool. It's Triple H. It's not really a comic. It's just basically, it's one page, but there's Mr. T. Heroic pitier of fools. Oh my god, that is amazing. Pitier of fools. He has certainly pitied many fools in his life. And speech bubbles are missing here. So someone mentioned on the Ultimate Warrior video, that comic was missing speech bubbles. This must be some sort of international thing. You can see all the different languages there. So I guess just to make everyone all around the world feel like they're not being left out or not understanding what the text says. It's pretty self-explanatory, though. He's forging something, and then he walks out, and he must see some fool. Uh-oh. Is that a bird? That looks like it might be a talon, and we know B.A. Baracus is not a big fan of flying things. And on the back, that awesome Jake Roberts figure. And here's the T figure with the accessories. Right off the bat, first impressions, I love it. Absolutely love it. So much more fun looking than that T wrestling figure is. He's a He-Man figure. He's squat, he's powerful, he's got all of the benefits of the Origin figures. He's basically an Origin figure. Comes apart. He can, oh, he's going to pity me for doing that. Take off all of the parts, not worry about breaking him. But I just love the big He-Man look to him. It works perfectly with the Ultimate Warrior. It works perfectly with Mr. T. It's cut from the same cloth as the Warrior. And here are his accessories. Doesn't look all that complicated to install. It looks like you gotta just shove it on there. So there isn't any sort of frustrating bar or peg to grab onto here. It looks like he's got a gripping hand, and on the other hand it's just a fist. So doesn't have any tattoos on there. Pity and Fool. That's from the new A-Team movie. But stick that in there. And cool that they included it. It's nice. Thank you. But much like the Ultimate Warrior's accessories, I don't really need my Mr. T He-Man figure to have anything. Much like the Ultimate Warrior, it's all about the character more than the accessories. And as far as articulation goes, it's the same as the He-Man figure, as well as the Ultimate Warrior figure, so I've already gone through those. Oh, look at that! This is for Jitsu. I guess this is also Jitsu's armor, so you'll be able to, when he comes out, install or hold his weaponry back there. It's a nice, really nice kind of bendy plastic, so don't have to really worry about breaking. It's not a hard shell, anything like that. As soon as I saw this, as perfect as I thought the figure was, exact same thing as the Ultimate Warrior, I knew this armor was coming off immediately. Don't need it. It's cool that it's gold, because Mr. T is all about the gold, but not going to need it. And I think you're going to have to pop the head off in order to get it off. It looks like a pretty tight fit, so you can just easily pop the head off and take the armor off and give this to, I don't know, if you want to make a completely custom figure using extra parts, or swap out when Randor comes out, give him a different color scheme. Actually, I think this would be a great armor plating for a King He-Man custom, because Randor's armor is gold with red. He-Man's could be gold with blue. So if you wanted a King He-Man figure, there's that extra part right there. This is the figure as I will be displaying him. Larger than life, absolutely brilliant. If you remember those Remco wrestling figures, some of those are really perfect too, like the Road Warriors in the style of a He-Man figure. This reminds me of that, the Remco Road Warrior figures. Mr. T is such a powerful personality. He's just exploding with intensity. Just watch the fight, the first fight in Rocky 3. Just pure intensity, dead meat. And I love this. This to me is just as perfect as that 1986 Sergeant Slaughter figure was. While I don't necessarily picture him fighting Skeletor or Trapjaw or Hordak, I think this is just an awesome figure to have interact with all sorts of different toy lines in your collection. If I could only have one Mr. T figure, like I'd love a BA G.I. Joe. I think that would be perfect too. But I think this is it. This is the Mr. T that I want to display alongside definitely He-Man figures, but also like G.I. Joes, Transformers, Silverhawks, Centurions, Turtles. Like this is the Saturday morning T right here. This is the figure from the Saturday morning Mr. T cartoon. Now there's definitely something missing right now. That this is his WrestleMania outfit, and that's fine, but that was just one match. Mr. T needs his iconic gold, so you can go and get yourself a, like a $1 necklace at a dollar store, or if you want to be authentic, you can, if you have a real gold necklace, you can just grab it and loop it around him a couple of times, just like, oh man, this is awesome. I wasn't sure how this would look, just taking a real necklace and looping it around, but oh, that looks incredible. That is awesome. How cool is that? And simple. It's I was thinking, oh, am I going to have to put a couple of necklaces on him? Does it need to be a really thick necklace? No, it can just be one simple necklace. In fact, one might be all you need. I've got one more here, and I'm curious how it would look if you start doubling up even more. It might just be a mess and not look good. This might be a case of less is more. Okay, that actually still looks good. I wasn't expecting that to look that good, but I guess just like the real Mr. T, the more gold you put on him, the better it looks. That is fantastic, and that's even without all of the various medallions and stuff. Mr. T was a warrior, and his armor was the gold chains. We've got that one little loop that's just hanging in the middle there, but it just looks so right. Covered, dripping in gold. That is so awesome. I love it. And I think definitely the thinner chains that you use, the better, because this is a bracelet, and that I don't think looks as good. It's just too thick, too big. So if you can find yourself some really thin little chains, all you got to do is just loop it around him like that, and then he's ready to TCB with some gold around his neck. The only thing that's left on him that you can remove at this point is he's got these little armbands, similar to the Ultimate Warrior's tassels. So T didn't really wear these, I don't believe, on the A-Team or even in wrestling. So if you want, you can, I guess, take them off. I don't mind them, actually, because even though it's not really a T thing, I'll take off one on one arm so you can compare it on the other arm. It actually looks really nice without them. And then on the other arm, I don't mind it because T always had things hanging off of him. He's got gold hanging off of him. He's also, he'd have feathers sometimes, feather earrings hanging off of him. So that's kind of in keeping with Mr. T. But I guess, to me, the tassels, tied off arm tassels, are an Ultimate Warrior thing. And when I look at a Mr. T figure, I want to think Mr. T. I don't want to think Mr. T plus a little bit of Ultimate Warrior. So I think I'm just going to take these off. But one of the advantages of having them on is T does have a little tattoo, TCB, on his arm. And if those are on, then if you're really a stickler for attention to detail and authentic looking figures with all of their proper tattoos, then that'll at least cover up something that's not actually there. And one of the issues with doing the necklace like this is you're gonna have some drippage and hangage over on the back, so it's gonna take a fair bit of futzing, especially if you've got more than one necklace on there. But if you just got them on a shelf and you can't see them from behind, then that's perfectly fine. But there is the I keep wanting to call them Origins, the Origins Mr. T figure. It's not an Origins figure, even though it's the exact same body construction as the He-Man Origins figures. But there is Mr. T from the WWE Masters of the WWE Universe figure line. So cool, so awesome. Even better out of the package. Fantastic in the package if you want to keep them mint in package, but I knew immediately that this is what I wanted to do with him. And can't add the gold chains if he's still in the package. Gonna do a couple of comparisons here for you to give you a little idea of the different sizes. Here is the old Galoob Mr. T. I don't know, what is he, a 7 or 8 inch figure? The old A-Team figures. So he's a little shorter than that original Mr. T figure, but this has pretty much been the T figure. This is the one so many of us had in the 80s. And you see, you gotta have the gold. You gotta have the dripping gold. This one has this machine gun, so I don't know if you want to give him an M16, it might be kind of hard to let him grip the old A-Team M16, and then since he doesn't have a gripping hand on the other hand, that's gonna make it a little difficult. But oh man. Can you imagine B.A. Baracus storming Snake Mountain, trying to save the kidnapped sorceress? I come for the sorceress, fool! You know, if Randor has a problem, if no one else can help and he can find them and afford them, maybe he can hire Mr. T to take care of Skeletor and all of his dastardly henchmen. So, I don't know, there's something about giving your Mr. T figure a gun. Same reason they didn't give this figure any guns. It's a B.A. Baracus thing, not really a Mr. T thing. This might be a little bit better. This vintage B.A. figure comes with this pair of, what is it, bolt cutters or something. So his grip is a little loose, but there you go. If you want, you can actually do your own little mechanical montage sequence of having your Mr. T maybe armorize one of your He-Man vehicles, adding some sort of armor and weaponry to it with tools. In terms of vehicle compatibility, he's going to work with any of these vintage vehicles as well as a lot of the new ones, the reissues. And I'm sure if the real Mr. T was here, he would be telling us, you gotta buckle up, fool. The advantage of these ankles is that they will turn to the outside now, so if you don't have as much movement in the hips as the vintage figures did, you can just spin the arms out. It's a lot easier to fit these guys in here. Because one of his hands is a fist, ready to punch out Roddy Piper. He can only grip onto vehicles and stuff like that with one hand, but the Dragon Walker is pretty easy for that. You just stick the seatbelt on and get your T in there, and then turn on this crazy zany thing, and that is still one of the zaniest, most fun vintage vehicles, the Dragon Walker. But here's a weird thing I want to warn you about. If you take something like the vintage Wind Raider, and we'll take our Man-at-Arms figure out of here.
What's going on here?
Mr. T is not compatible with
What you doing, sucker?
with the Wind Raider. I'm trying to get in there, but
You know I don't fly.
I mean, he should fit. He looks like
Not this time.
he looks like he would fit, but he's
I told you what I was gonna do to you next time you try to take me on an airplane, didn't I?
he's kind of fighting me on that. So I noticed that about the Wind Raider, as well as one of the modern vehicles. We've got this Sky Sled that we recently took a look at on the channel. Same deal. I don't know what is going on here, but
I told you I don't
like
go on no
he just,
plane.
I can't get him on there. So I guess fans of the A-Team show might know something about that, but he just,
Sucker.
it doesn't work. He ain't getting on no plane. So, yeah, ground vehicles only for your He-Man Mr. T figure, apparently.
Well, looks like we won't be flying.
Now, I understand that some missions are time sensitive, and there just isn't time to wait for the Dragon Walker to slowly make its way to wherever justice needs to be served. So there is a trick to actually getting him onto a plane, but you are going to need a vintage Sandstorm figure from Brave Star, and it's actually really simple. All you got to do is set up your Sandstorm, put in 4 double-D batteries if you have the Canadian version, and all you got to do is a little bit of sleepy dust, and your Mr. T figure is sound asleep, not quite a coma, but sleeping peacefully. And then you can ever so carefully, and it might help if you have a Faceman and Mad Murdock figure from the A-Team as well. Just put him in the back of the Talon Fighter there, close it up, and then your T figure can take off, as we say in Canada, and go save the day. He's not going to be much use against the classic LJN figures, unfortunately. If you want to recreate some WrestleMania matches, here's the classic LJN Roddy Piper figure without the stand. He towers over Mr. T, but just because Mr. T is quite a bit smaller doesn't mean he can't take care of this old LJN Piper. Roddy Piper was an awesome guy, fantastic human being, but in the early days of the WWF, he could be quite a stinker. So now you've got a Mr. T figure to keep that Rowdy Scott in check. Unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be any classic A-Team vehicles that are compatible with this Mr. T. The closest is this old plastic, who made this? Ertl? Giant Ertl from 1983 vehicle. It is huge, but for some reason, it only seats 1/18 scale figures, like a G.I. Joe sized A-Team figure. Even with the sunroof, this Mr. T isn't going to fit all the way in there unless you pull his arms off, I guess. But that's actually fantastic. You can have him standing in there, standing with 1 foot in each seat, have him holding on to one of the lights, and having the big the big fist there, and that doesn't actually look too bad. So not seated and driving in the A-Team van, but wow, that's an incredible little discovery. That looks fantastic. I've got nothing to put in this A-Team van because I just don't like how the little Galoob G.I. Joe sized A-Team figures look in it. The van is just too enormous for a G.I. Joe figure, and the seats are too small for these guys, the bigger Galoob figures. I've always displayed my big Galoob A-Team figures just standing in front of the van like this, but I think that looks fantastic. So if you can track down one of those classic plastic giant Ertl vans, this could go from a what do you do with it piece to, oh my goodness, every Masters of the WWE Universe T needs one of these vans to display them in. I really like how that looks. That's fantastic. Cool figure on his own, but having him in BA's van is just awesome. And one more thing I just noticed is this hand, the gripping hand, it kind of looks like a thumbs up. So I like the fact that he's got the one hand that's a fist that's ready to take care of fools, but the other hand is just basically a thumbs up. A-okay. And then the last thing I wanted to mention too is it looks like the knee pads are removable. So I believe the feet detach right here. Just give it a little bit of a pull. And it comes off like that. And then if you don't like the look of the knee pads, it looks like you can just, it's a little bit little bit of a tight fit over top of there, but this stuff is so bendy and flexible that I just don't really feel like I'm in danger of ripping this as I'm pulling this. I'm fine with the knee pads, but if you want to take the knee pads off, all my chains are coming loose now on the back. Just loop them through there again. Actually, I think I prefer the knee pads. Makes his, if you take it off, it makes his legs look a little thinner. He's very bulky on the top, and then, well, the He-Man figures don't have knee pads, but that's the cool look about wrestlers. The knee pads really bulk them up in the lower body. So there he is with one knee pad on and one off, and I actually prefer both knee pads on, so I'm going to have them with both of them on. And the last thing I want to mention is the boots. Really nice golden color to them. There is a swirl though, so think G1 Optimus trailer. But it's the bendy gold. It's not the brittle, rigid gold that they used on Serpentor 86 and some of the later Transformers. So really nice gold sheen to it, and if you're going to put gold around his neck, goes nicely with it, or that gold armor that he came with. And so it's got the silver gauntlets. Should have been gold. Total nitpick, but how do you not give Mr. T gold gauntlets? Probably easily repainted though. I don't know if they have a gold chrome pen like they have the regular chrome pen. But if there is something like that out there, that's something I actually might custom paint just so that he's got more gold. So that's a look at the Masters of the WWE Mr. T figure. And if he hasn't shown up in your area yet, just be patient. He will eventually, and if you never get anything in your area, just be patient, because I live in an area very similar to that and hit the gold mine, I guess you can say. Every once in a while, you can get lucky and find something like Mr. T and trust this guy, Jake the Snake Roberts, whose review will be coming soon on this channel. Shout out to the Patreon tribe. You guys and gals are the gold chains of this channel. Thank you for adding your sparkle and shine to what I do here. If this figure is your cup of tea, leave a comment below, and to join the tribe, pity subscribe. Nerdmaste.
So take it from me, Mr. T. Where we going? I ain't going to no airport, Hannibal. I ain't gonna fly with that crazy fool Murdoch.